Okay, Heidi, if your life was a play, which act would you be in? And you can choose up to 5.
I think I am in my third act, but maybe of 3.
Oh, third and final answer.
Yeah, I'm going to check out any minute now, but not before we record this podcast. Welcome to Talk 50 to Me.
Talk 50 to me.
Let's do it again. Hi, Constance.
Hi, Heidi. Oh, I think I'm in my third act too, but I believe I have more. I think there's going to be a fourth and maybe even a fifth act. So the reason why I wanted to ask you this, because I'm late to the game, but I just watched Jane Fonda's documentary in
so
5
good.
acts.
Yeah.
And I was like, 5 acts? That's a lot of acts. And I have to say, first of all, it's incredible. She is still to this day at 87 fucking doing and being and using her voice and her platform for good and for advocacy and to help others. And it's just something that she's been doing her whole life. And I was more surprised by the fact that all of her 4 acts were titled by men.
Yeah.
And her 5th act was titled Jane.
Yeah.
And that to me was so interesting. But I went back and I was like, oh, mine can be also titled by men.
Well, I think that's what we learn in our youth is that what we learn in our 50s is that we didn't necessarily put ourselves first the whole first few acts of our lives, that we as women tend to put other people first in our acts.
Right, but also specifically men, if you are if you are in need of that, you're looking for a partner. So whether it's a man or a woman.
Well, because we think we're supposed to be looking for a partner in those early acts.
Right. It's what we've been told. It's the propaganda we've been sold. Like, go get married. Where's the white picket fence? Where are the 2.5 kids? Where are the, there's all of this stuff that I really just started looking back and I was like, what are my acts and how did they begin and how did they end? And it's because there is a big section between 24 and 30 where I was with somebody and I was in a whole different friend group and I was married and none of those people exist anymore except maybe one as a friend. And I mean, obviously they're all still alive. I just mean they're no longer a part of who I am. But I wouldn't take any of it back. Like, do you look back at any of your acts and think, oh, I'd like to have a do-over on that act?
No, because like I said, my first act was like 0 to 40. Then I got sober. And then 40 to 60 was a second act. And I think 60 now is the beginning of my third act. I might have a fourth act at 80. So no, I mean, I try not to have regrets about the dumb shit I did and how I got to be where I am because I think they all make up parts of the play that is me. It's interesting though, like when you talk about Jane Fonda, I think the saddest thing that I've heard her say is A, that she regrets having plastic surgery, and B, that if she were to date again, she wouldn't want to get naked in front of anybody because she wouldn't want them to see how she looks. And that made me sadder than anything I've ever heard.
Right. But I believe that comes from, again, because that's what so much of what she was held up to be as this like workout queen and had the body of, a goddess and that, she talks about wishing that she was braver about her looks and being okay with it. And to me, I'm like, she's the bravest woman I have ever fucking known. And I'll never forget. It's funny. I'm actually wearing the necklace. I was on a plane with her and she turned around and she said, I'm sorry, but does your necklace say fuck? And I said, it does. And she was like, right on.
I love that. I love that. Well, you know what? I think our guest today is pretty brave, especially when it comes to aging, and we should get to her.
Let's go.
She is the Emmy-nominated Golden Globe Award-winning actress who's been a Bond girl, Lois Lane, and a Desperate Housewife, but it's in her first year of being 60 that she's taking on aging in a truly raw, beautiful, and sometimes very funny way. From making sandwiches on Instagram that pack gentle lessons on parenting your parents, to starting a podcast with her TV daughter and her real daughter, and in her 50s, even doing stand-up comedy, proving that women can shift and pivot and do so many things, especially in our 50s and 60s and beyond, keeping it real and being anything but a desperate housewife. Please welcome the wonderful Teri Hatcher.
Teri Hatcher!
Oh my gosh. Okay, that is literally the best intro that has ever been read about me. And I would like you to eulogize at my funeral for me, please.
Oh my God. Can we do it while you're still alive, though? Because I think everybody should have a living funeral.
I kind of agree with you. And I actually, it's funny that you say that. I think about my life through that lens a lot. Like I find myself, if I'm ever thinking, should I do this or should I not do this? I reflect on being on my deathbed. And will I be on my deathbed going, oh, that was a good way to spend my time, or that was not a good way to spend my time? And I think about that a lot, actually.
I do that all the time, too. I always say, like, I don't think I'm going to be on my deathbed and say, wow, you really fucked up eating that donut. Like, it really does.
Exactly.
It brings it all into perspective. Yes. It's so true. I think it's such a good way to go about looking at things.
But I think we don't get here until we're in our 50s because we know that there's less time up front than there was behind. So I think that it is also about the wisdom that we gain with aging.
Yeah.
My opinion.
Mm-hmm. I totally think you're right. I was actually thinking about when, I had a dream last night. So I played Sally Bowles on the road in cabaret. And I did it for 7 months. I originated the national tour. And I had a dream last night that I was going back into Sally Bowles. And it was supposed to be my first night, but I hadn't had any rehearsal. And I hadn't met anybody in this new cast. And I was just supposed to be able to like walk out on stage and remember everything that I had done. And it was horrible. Like I was sobbing in the dream because I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared. I didn't remember the lines. I couldn't remember. There was some focus on the word want and the word need. And in my dream, I was like, which I thought, wow, that's deep. I thought like, wait, is the line, I want to do this, or is it I need to do this? And I can't play the part unless I know the difference between want and need. Like it's a pretty deep dream. I know, right? And so when I woke up, it was a weird way to wake up. And I thought, how old was I when I did that? And I was 40. And that made me think about what was I thinking about myself when I was 40? And then what was I thinking about myself when I was 50? And what am I thinking about myself now that I'm 60? And it really did. The one thing that came across, and this is first thing this morning, was we can be, I'm trying to stop this, but we are so hard on ourselves at each of these decades. And if we could only be a decade or two later and then reflect back on, we would give ourselves a break. Do you know what I mean? And my recognition was that even at 60, while as you said, Constance, like we do learn stuff. We are in our aging, we are allowed to sort of reflect on things differently for sure. But I can cop to that even at 60, I am sure wasting time that at 70, I will go, Teri, what the fuck were you thinking when you were 60?
Oh, I feel that.
I'm still doing it.
I feel that.
Yeah.
I still am too hard on certain parts of my body and my weight. I feel like I'm going to be body dysmorphic for the rest of my fucking life. I really, I try so hard and yeah. Well, let's go back.
I'm inspired. I'm very inspired by you, Heidi, and what you put out on Instagram. I mean, that's how we met. And I mean, it's really genuine. Your combination of thoughts and style is very inspiring to me, and I'm sure to so many women.
I can die now.
I definitely feel like at least at 60, I have the awareness to try to stop myself.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
whereas that I think at 50 and at 40, there was narrative voices that were critical that just took over without any conscious pushback.
Yeah.
And I feel like at this point, I at least can clock in and go, okay, I see what I'm doing. I can really make a choice here to stop doing it and think about something else, you know?
That's an important step. It really is.
Yeah.
Well, can you give us one word? Can you go back and give us one word to describe your 50s?
One word. One word. Oh, wow. Boy, I don't know if I could do one word.
You can have two if you need it.
It's $5 more.
I mean, I think of now at 60, my one word is expansive.
Ooh, that's good.
And I think maybe my 50s were evolutionary, you
Mm.
know, meaning that there was an evolving, there was a sense of new identity. But I think there's a combo that happens for mothers where your aging is forcing you, pushing you into a new identity, but also the fact that your children are older and moving out and you have an empty nest, that is forcing you to shed. I mean, obviously you're a mother, you're always a mother, but it is forcing you to shed the identity in the way you wore motherhood from probably 30 to 50. And so I think my 50s were kind of about understanding myself in a reflection that didn't immediately reflect motherhood. And also, um, you know, I stepped away from, I mean, Desperate Housewives, and that was, I guess, quite an identity to absorb through my 40s. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think a lot about maybe 50s also are about reinvention. Maybe that
Mm-hmm.
is one word. Okay, now I've used two, reinvention and evolution.
I
Really
love
good,
it.
though.
We'll
Really
take them all.
good.
We'll take
I
them all.
do. I think there's a bit of relevance play that comes into your 50s, you know, like what's my relevance now? Like your kids leave, you're not acting, like it's definitely different for sure. But I love what you're doing on Instagram and the whole your sandwich series. And I wonder, did you launch the sandwich series because you are part of the sandwich generation? Because I was really moved by what you said during one of your sandwiches that you've been trying to make your parents happy since you were a child. And that really slapped me right in the face because that was, you know, I had a difficult relationship with my parents as well. And so did you name this series Sandwich for that or?
Because it's genius.
Oh, thanks, sweetheart. Well, yeah, I mean, in full disclosure, you know, I think, and the reason I would say this is I think it's part of, I want people to understand what it's like to try to have to reinvent yourself. And also in my particular business, I think it continues to be hard for all of even successful actors to continue to work. You know, and so part of it was I had an idea for a sitcom that I had, you know, partially written some pretty funny scenes. And I was meeting with a couple of different production companies, one in general that I really liked. And they really liked this idea of the sitcom that at the time we were calling Sandwiched.
Hmm.
And it was about a woman, you know, single woman who gets to that age in her life where she's like, okay, kids are out. I'm free to be me and figure out what the hell I want to do with my life. Yay. And in my series, it was a cute scene where that my character had finally decided she could commit to getting rid of her daughter's bedroom in her house and turn it into something else. And so she turned it into like kind of a yoga Pilates kind of spiritual room. And she's in there with her two girlfriends and they're drinking champagne and talking about how much sex they're going to have in this swing that's like hanging from the, you know, center of the room and whatever. And in the middle of this scene, she gets this call from her mom about her dad who has dementia, who the police have found wandering the thing. And, and it leads her to being like, cut to all the yoga stuff is now out of the room and the parental walker and the toilet next to the toilet, like all is back. And it's just like the immediate thing of, okay, I thought I was going to have this time to myself and now I don't. So anyways, we were working on facilitating this and we were looking for a writer and we were like, okay, we want to do this sitcom. And then we found out, well, no, before this. So I said to them, I said, I went to the Cordon Bleu. I'm a chef. I'm a good cook. Like I love cooking. I love loving people through food. Like that's my whole thing. Do you think it would be helpful to do the series if I started this thing on my Instagram and just kind of threw it out there and see if people like this community? And they were like, yeah, do that. So I did that. And immediately, like, it got a lot of views. It got a lot of, connection to the community, which I was so touched by. And I knew it instinctually. I mean, my girlfriends have some of their parents in like, assisted living, and they're getting calls about, you need to order more adult diapers. And like, I mean, these things are happening to me and all my friends to some degree. And so I figured it was happening to other people. So I started this community, then I found out that many years ago, there was a sitcom called Sandwiched on some network.
No
that
way.
was not successful. Yeah, there was. I never heard of it. And that they were already exploring a similar themed thing with a different actress. And so they weren't going to be able to do it. And
well,
so
fuck those idiots.
Yeah. So that all came to a screeching halt. By the way, if anyone's listening to your thing and wants to pick that idea up.
Yeah,
That's right. I was going to say,
seriously.
how did you not sell that in
I
the
know,
room?
seriously. It's like I'm
So,
Terry
because-
fucking Hatcher and I'm giving you a goddamn fucking brilliant series. You morons. Why are you so afraid of women in their 50s and 60s? I mean,
maybe. Anyways, so the result of
by
it
the way, I'd
has
like to
been-
remind you that I'm a comedy writer. If you'd like to.
Okay, well, let's do it then. Let's do it. I mean, this is, and the reason I wanted to say this whole story, which I've not told anybody, is because this is how it works. Like now in Hollywood, like you have to do the work that isn't even necessarily your work.
Yep.
Like I do write. I'm writing a one-woman show. I have written some stand-up, but I'm not a writer. I'm not a showrunner. It doesn't mean I couldn't do it, but I don't have a track record. And you need a support system of people around you. And it's even when you've won awards, whatever, it's just,
I know.
I don't know.
It's
just
disheartening.
tricky. But going back to Sandwiched and basically a text that I got right before I got on with you guys.
Oh.
So to making my parents happy. Yes. So, in a way, I'm sorry that you resonated with that, but I do think that particular video and that particular thought resonated with a lot of people. And it isn't something many people say because I think myself, I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed that I played this role as an only child in a family that there was not a lot of love executed between my parents. There was a lot of screaming in the household. There was a lot of explosion. There was a lot of, me like begging my mom to like wear a dress and try to be nice to my dad and begging my dad to buy my mom flowers and, some sort of like Disney-fied fantasy that I must have had as a child of like, how can I get these two people to love each other? And then I guess by extension, love me in the way that a child needs to be loved. That all said, I was provided, I'll just throw this out there. Other than being sexually abused by my uncle,
me too. Hi.
Okay. I was provided with, a safe enough household, and I went to public school, and it wasn't that, we were middle class. I wasn't struggling to eat food or whatever. Like, my parents did the best they could with the tools they have. And as an adult, like reflecting back, I know that they had really difficult childhoods and, they did the best they could to get themselves out of that. And I do know that they love me in the way that they can. I know that. I also know that it has not been a resource of support or inspiration for me the way
Yeah.
I hear many people go, like, you know, my mom was like my confidant, the way that I think I am for my daughter. Like, I
Yeah.
think I play at least one of those roles in her orbit of a comfort, of a place that she goes to when she needs somebody to give her the pep talk, or a reflection that might be, emotionally accessible. I don't really have any of that. And so at this point, my parents, are physically and mentally challenged. They're 90 years old. There's no one else to take care of them. My mom always begged me, said, I do not want to end up in assisted living. So I've done everything I can to keep them from doing that. But like, I just got a text right before this that says your dad doesn't want to go to art class anymore.
Mm.
What should we do?
Oh
This
boy.
is from a caregiver. And because he's supposed to be going to, I've got him hooked up with this really beautiful Russian woman who's like this great art teacher, and she teaches him one-on-one classes a couple times a week. And I've found that painting, which my dad loves and has always loved, it, and being social has been really great at curbing the advancement of his dementia. But, you know, this is like, this is
Yeah.
what happens. Like, this
Yeah.
is part of the caregiving thing. Like, okay, I'm trying to do my day, and then now I've got to deal with my dad doesn't want to go to art class.
Hmm. It's a
Yeah.
lot.
So
Yeah. I find it, it's very difficult to take care of people that didn't always necessarily take care of you. And I find that really commendable. It's something I struggle with the guilt of that now. I find it very commendable the way you show up on social media as well. You are very natural. You're not like, you're obviously not giving a fuck about whether your hair is done or whether you have the right amount of lipstick on. Like, I love that you show up as you on Instagram, which is not an easy thing to do in our 60s. Why do you do
yeah.
it?
Well, it's funny that you ask, because I have actually had like makeup artists friends of mine say, like, why don't you ever put pretty pictures of yourself on your Instagram?
Oh,
And
for the love of God.
I
You
know,
you are
right?
pretty just as you
Uh,
are.
oh, thank you. Um, and I do sometimes put the glam things on there. I listen, I don't have any judgment about how people decide to age, and in terms of what they do to themselves to be what they want to be in the world. I think every time I've thought about getting plastic surgery, or doing fillers or Botox or whatever that would be, um, you know, I just think, what am I trying to fix, or
Mm.
what am I trying, like, what would be the goal? And I guess if the goal would be that I want to look in the mirror and I want to see a version of myself that looks more like I did when I'm 45, then maybe I would do it. But when I look in the mirror and I'm trying to fix things about myself, which, believe me, I am, I they don't seem to really be rooted in my wrinkles. Like, my things that I still am struggling to fix are the negative narrative
Mm.
that tells me I'm not good at things, that tells me I'm a fraud, that says that I'm a bad person, that, like, I'm still trying to fix that through either, I don't know, therapy, or self-talk, or behavior, or just life lessons, or connection. I mean, I'm a big one. My biggest thing is like community and connection. And that is another reason, coming back to the sandwich thing or any other thing, the podcast that I'm doing, Desperately Devoted. Like, I want to be part of providing a place and ideas that are inclusive, that are comforting, that are inspiring, and and so that's why I'm on Instagram at all. It is to be real. and to make somebody feel who might be struggling like they're not alone. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you can't fix things. Sometimes you can't, like with the sandwich stuff or whatever. Like maybe I can't actually make it better. I don't know that I have the advice to make it better for you, but I can say that it's difficult for me too. And maybe that makes you feel not alone. And maybe that makes you feel better. And so that's the only reason I'm even on Instagram
And
is to
TikTok.
oh God.
And
Yeah.
TikTok.
I mean, but that's the only reason. I could not engage in those social media platforms from a narcissistic,
Yeah.
egotistical point of view. Like that just
Amen.
the braggadociousness of like, here's me at some fabulous vacation or whatever. And again, not that I'm knocking that that's what other people do. People should do themselves. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But for my journey, and maybe it's because I'm an only child, maybe it's because I don't have a big family. Um, maybe it's because I'm single. I don't know. Like I I just find myself wanting to connect and help heal people,
I think it's
especially
amazing.
women. I love women.
Same.
I know we
But
all do, but that's also a new thing, right? Like women are showing up for women right now more than they ever have, which is really impressive by being their own authentic selves. And I want to talk to you too about doing the podcast now with your real daughter and your TV daughter.
desperately devoted.
Desperately devoted. And, you know, it's a rewatch. So you're going back, right? And you're watching the show and you're breaking it down with another generation who might not have
Mhm.
watched the show, right? I mean, obviously your daughter, I would assume, has because it's you.
No, she didn't. My daughter
Oh,
didn't
wow.
watch it. So she is the one of the three of us that is really watching it for the first time. And she is the youngest generation, so she has her own take on certain things anyway. But so far for her, she's really enjoying it. It's really holding
Well,
up.
I would
Like
imagine because the perspective is has also shifted so much in what, 20 years,
20
right?
years.
So you
20
were in
years
your
since we
40s.
started it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
most of you
yes.
were in your 40s.
Yes.
Right. And it was a phenomenon. I mean, imagine that, a show completely with a lead of all women. And, you know, yet now you can't find anything like that on television. It's like,
God forbid.
but has it been fun rewatching it through her eyes? And how different does it feel like women were treated or written about or written to, you know, in
Yeah.
comparison of
I,
today?
I mean, everything you said is absolutely correct, and we're using, kind of analyzing it and looking at it as a springboard to also just talk about issues that come up from the show and how they're playing out in our more modern day lives, and from the perspective of my daughter who's almost 28 and Andrea who's 35 and is about to have her first baby and just got married last year. So and then me. So it's a good perspective of different generations, for sure. And I just find Emerson, my daughter, and Andrea to be inspirational and clever and empathetic and we all seem to offer each other inspiring points of view, which can feel surprising and also really sort of restorative. And we love each other. I mean, last night they came over to my house and we all made homemade pasta
Oh, my
together.
God.
And it was just we were together for 4 hours, and like the stuff that comes up, and I walked Emerson to her car, and she's also an only child, and she said to me, she goes, Mom, I'm so I really am so happy we're doing this podcast. Like
Mm.
I didn't know that I would, like she goes, like, I want Andrea to be the godmother to my child when I eventually
Oh.
have one. Like I didn't realize that we were all going to be this way together. And like that's my favorite part of doing this.
Yep.
And so to have there be like that much personal joy for me and for Emerson and Andrea around it is great. and I know that we're kind of finding our way. I mean, I know maybe you guys feel this way too about starting your podcast at the beginning. You're sort of finding your way between, like for us, how much we're delving into the rewatchness of it, for the fans that really love the show and they want to know like kind of the behind the scenes of things, which, unfortunately I don't remember very as much as I would hope that I remember. Um, but also it just gives us a chance to really talk about what it's like to be a woman and life. And you're right that this was a crazy beginning of women, older women in their 40s, like holding space in a show as the leads of it,
Yeah.
it really was like at the beginning of that, and then of course started that whole Real Housewives thing that has just exploded
Yeah.
into
Well,
its
because
own thing.
it's the only place we can see women over 40 on TV anymore now is on Real Housewives.
Yeah. On reality shows.
That's sad.
It's very
That's
sad. It's really sad.
Yeah.
Super sad.
But I do want to say, I know that you're an amazing mom because before I knew you, I knew your daughter, Emerson, and she is one of the brightest, smartest, kindest, most creative, beautiful young ladies I've ever had the pleasure of knowing.
Oh, how did you
We
know
used to
her?
hang out all the time. I've spent quite a bit of time with Emerson.
That
and
is crazy.
she is a remarkable, delightful
Well,
human
thank
being.
you. I think so too. She's so fantastic. I'm so like, that'll be another thing you can say at my funeral, that I did at least that well.
Yeah, you
like
did
I
it-
did that one thing well.
Yeah, you
You've
did
done
really.
a lot of things very well, Teri Hatcher. Let's just say that right here, right now.
We only have time for a
Thank
couple
you.
more questions, believe it or not, which
Okay.
is very sad because we could talk to you for days.
Mhm.
But
I feel like I could talk to you guys for days too. And I'm
Well,
sorry I'm
maybe-
not there in person.
I know maybe we need to have a dinner, I think, since we're all
Okay.
here. But what is your advice for the next generation of women entering their 50s?
I think to women in their 50s, and maybe I wish somebody had said this to me too, that it's okay for reinventing yourself to feel effortful. Like, it isn't easy, but I'm not sure life is meant to be easy. So don't be mad and don't be discouraged by what your 50s might reflect back at you of like evolving.
Mm.
Like evolving is effortful. Your 40s is maybe a little coasty. It's
Yeah,
like
I agree.
it's like you have enough information, enough experience, enough youth that the 40s you can just kind of coast through it and it can be pretty fabulous. And I think 50s and 60s can also be fabulous. I'm not but there is more, I think, effort in your 50s to consciously evolve, to potentially have to reinvent yourself, to push yourself outside of your comfort zone and absorb new tools and execute them. Like, it isn't as coasty as your 40s. And I would say, don't be resentful about that.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on the opportunity to be alive, to become more, to become different, to welcome the new. Like, I think these are the ideas that will get you through your 50s in the most positive way.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take that. I'm in my mid 50s and I wish somebody told me that before I turned 50, because that is everything that you're saying is everything I wish I knew, because I'm just trying to get out of the resentfulness of having to do so much fucking work in my 50s. Like,
Yeah.
it's exhausting. Which leaves us with only one question for you. We have
Oh my
one left.
God.
We're
Okay,
done.
what
It's
is
a
it?
surprise question from our surprise jar, so we don't know what it will be. And
Okay.
Oh, okay.
sometimes they're spicy,
Okay.
And
sometimes they're
sometimes-
not.
They're not.
Okay.
What's this one going to be? Okay, here we go.
Uh-oh. That sounds like if I had to guess, it's spicy. Because it was sort of like,
I
all
actually
right.
wish it was spicy. I feel like we would get
Okay.
a really good answer
Maybe you
out
should
of
pick
you.
another one.
Well, it's this one. Can you read that?
Yeah.
We'll give her this one.
Yeah.
Okay, ready? If today were your last day on Earth, what
Oh,
is
yeah.
the one thing you wish you did? If today were your last day on Earth, what
Oh,
is the
yeah.
one thing you wish you did?
See, I don't think I would have that frame of mind. Like I don't want to be spending every day going, "Oh, what didn't I do?" Like and
Yep.
feeling bad about it. Like that it's not that I'm unfamiliar with thinking that, but it's not where I live. And so if it were my last day, I would be thinking about all the amazing shit I did.
Yeah.
That's the
Not what
best-
I didn't do.
Best answer
Beautiful.
ever.
That's really awesome.
Truly.
Terry, what a
Thank you.
delight.
You are such a joy. I'm
Oh
really
my God, but you guys too. Thank
Really
you.
so
And congratulations
amazing.
on your podcast. And I can't wait to see you in person.
And
Wow.
congratulations on yours. And please give Emerson my love
I
and
will.
ask her why the fuck she isn't talking about me more to her amazing mother. Like random that you just found me on your own. Like I assumed Emerson told you. It was
No.
crazy. Crazy. It's crazy. But we
I-
love you. We thank you
Thank
so
you
much
so
for joining
much.
us today. Really appreciate it. And we'll
Thank
see you
you.
soon. Let's all
Thank
have
you,
dinner.
Terry. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you. All right,
Bye.
thanks so much. Bye, guys.
Bye. I will be perfectly honest and raw right here and in this moment and just say I am enamored by her.
Yeah.
Where has she been?
I know it's so funny because we met because she started following me on Instagram and I like lost my shit. Like Terry fucking Hatcher's following me. And we text each other. She's so kind and is so supportive and comments on things. And I'm like, you're Terry Hatcher.
Right. But again, it's
She's
this
so
thing of like,
inspiring.
I'm sorry. Women in their 50s, we have so much to say and share and give. Why aren't you fucking letting us?
I know the fact that somebody isn't making that TV show. What a bunch of idiots.
I was like, that's the greatest, funniest thing ever. Because what happens is until you're in that situation, you don't understand how relevant and how real it is.
Yeah.
So
We did not get to talk to her about her comedy career.
we didn't, but I do think what we're going to do is we are going to end this episode with something from her stand-up because every time I read it makes me laugh. We also want to say Teri's podcast
Desperately
is called
Devoted.
Desperately Devoted, and she does it with her real life daughter and her TV daughter, and it sounds like it's a real generational wealth
Yeah,
of
people love it.
information. Okay, so we are going to leave you with this. Aging, while female, is not for the faint of heart. Wine of a certain age is considered rare, and women of a certain age are not considered in Hollywood at all. That is from Teri Hatcher, part of her stand-up. It's fucking genius.
Truer words never spoken. We
Agreed.
are not considered. But yeah, that is all the time we have for today.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Do you want more Talk 50 to Me? Follow us on Instagram at Talk 50 to Me and subscribe to our email list to get Talk 50 to Me updates and announcements. Have a question? DM us on Instagram or email us at talk50tomepod@gmail.com. And remember to like and subscribe wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Sharing is caring. See you next Tuesday. Bye now.
Talk 50 to Me with Heidi Clements and Constance Zimmer is produced by Alex Beatty, recording engineer Aaliyah Walker, editing by Zelaine Hassi, music by Matt Friedman, production services provided by A4S Podcast Studios, a Talk 50 to Me LLC production distributed by the Forward Network.